So what's a passport really worth? I mean, for most of us, it's just something we're born with, right? But what if it was a product, something you could actually buy off the shelf? Well, in today's world, that's not science fiction. The whole idea of citizenship is changing, and for the right price, you can get a new one. So let's dive into this wild and fascinating world of countries that are, well, literally selling citizenship.
I know, it sounds like something straight out of a spy movie, doesn't it? But buying a second passport is a totally real thing. And look, this isn't just about getting a new booklet to put stamps in. For a lot of people, it's a serious tool, a key to more freedom, better opportunities, and frankly, a solid security blanket. So the big question is, how does this all actually work?
Okay, so the official fancy term for it is Citizenship by Investment, or CBI for short. And the idea behind it is actually pretty straightforward. You make a serious financial contribution to a country, we're talking either a big donation or buying some property, and in exchange, boom, you and your whole family get full citizenship and a shiny new passport.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to take a trip around the world looking at this whole citizenship market. We'll kick things off with the classics in the Caribbean, then check out some other big players. After that, we're heading to Africa, the new frontier. Then we'll tackle the whole mystery of European passports, and we'll wrap it all up with a no-nonsense buyer's guide to help make sense of it all.
So for a long time, the Caribbean has been the place for this stuff. It's the heart of the whole CBI world. These 5 countries have the oldest, most established programs out there. But, and this is a big but, things are changing and they're facing some pretty major challenges right now.
Okay, so each of these islands has its own unique flavor. You've got St. Kitts, which is kind of the original, the most reputable, and yeah, the most expensive. Then there's Grenada, a bit cheaper, and it has this amazing perk, access to a US E2 visa, which is a huge deal if you want to live and work in the States. Dominica is interesting because they'll accept people from certain countries that others won't touch. Antigua is the go-to if you have a big family. And then there's St. Lucia. It used to be a hot ticket, but now it's the slowest of the bunch. We're talking waits of over 18 months. Yikes.
But here's where the trouble starts. There are definitely some storm clouds gathering over the Caribbean. Processing times? They've exploded from just a few months to over a year in some cases. Why? Well, the US and the EU are putting on a ton of pressure. That means tougher background checks and, you guessed it, higher prices. And these aren't just empty threats. The risks are very real. I mean, just look at what happened in 2023. Dominica lost its visa-free access to the UK. That's a huge reminder that these perks aren't set in stone.
And get this, the biggest change might be right around the corner. There's some serious buzz about them bringing in mandatory residency requirements. So what does that mean? It means you'd actually have to live there for part of the year to keep your passport. That completely changes the game. So if you've been thinking about a Caribbean passport, honestly, the clock is ticking before these things get way less convenient.
All right, let's move on from the Caribbean now. There are a few other well-established programs out there that offer some really different strategic advantages. It's not all about the beach.
You know, different passports are like different tools. They solve different problems. Let's start with Turkey. You invest $400,000 in property, and you get a passport from a major global player that, and here's that key benefit again, has that E2 visa treaty with the US. Super valuable. Then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got El Salvador. It's lightning fast, super crypto-friendly, but wow, it comes with a hefty $1 million price tag. And then there's Vanuatu. It's quick and used to be a bargain, but honestly, its value has totally tanked since it lost visa-free access to both the EU and the UK.
Okay, now this is where things get really interesting. We're talking about a genuine market disruption. There's this new wave of programs coming out of Africa that are completely changing the game. I'm talking about passports at prices you just wouldn't have believed a few years ago.
And one of their absolute biggest selling points, they're way more inclusive. You see, a lot of the Caribbean and European programs, they have a restricted list. No applicants from Russia, Iran, Belarus, and so on. But these new African programs, they're pretty much open to everyone. It's creating a truly global marketplace for the first time.
I mean, just look at these numbers. It's crazy. St. Kitts, the Caribbean Classic, that's $250,000. Turkey, you're looking at $400,000. And then Botswana, it's expected to launch at just $75,000. That is a massive, massive price drop. It's a total game changer for accessibility, and it's shaking up the entire industry.
So let's do a quick rundown of these new players. Botswana, as we saw, is going to be the cheapest by a long shot. Sao Tome and Principe is really interesting. It might offer a unique shortcut to getting Portuguese citizenship. Sierra Leone has some incredibly flexible rules. You can add business partners, even multiple spouses to your application. Wild, right? And then there's Egypt. It's pricier, but it's got that valuable US E2 visa treaty, though you do have to weigh that against its struggling economy.
All right, now it's time to talk about Europe. And I really want you to pay attention here, because this is probably the single biggest misconception in the whole industry. You hear all the time about buying a passport from Malta or Austria. Well, it's time to set the record straight, because it's not what you think.
The difference here is absolutely critical. A true citizenship by investment program like the ones in the Caribbean is based on a law. It's a clear process. You pay X amount, you follow the steps, you get a passport. Predictable. What's happening in Europe is totally different. It's citizenship by merit. There is no fixed price. It's not a transaction. It's a decision made by the government, case by case, for someone who has made an exceptional contribution to the country.
Yeah, this source we're looking at today just nails it. It says it's not citizenship by investment, it's citizenship by merit. So think of it less like a purchase and more like an honorary degree. The money is part of it, for sure, but it's just one piece of a much bigger and way more uncertain puzzle.
So, bottom line, while you can technically get a passport from Austria or Malta, these are not straightforward programs you can just apply for. They're secretive, they're incredibly selective, and you're typically talking about contributions of many millions of euros, with absolutely no guarantee that you'll be successful. It's a very different world.
Okay, so we've looked at the Caribbean, the global players, Africa, and Europe. With all these options and all these changes happening, how on earth do you navigate this market in 2025? Let's break it down into some practical advice.
The trend line here is crystal clear, and it's only pointing one way. As you can see, programs are getting more expensive and way more restrictive. That pressure from the US and the EU isn't going away. It's only getting stronger. So the window of opportunity to get one of these top-tier passports before the rules change and the prices go up again, well, it's definitely closing. So if this is something you're seriously thinking about, you absolutely have to be smart about it. 3 key things. First, watch out for hidden fees. The price you see advertised is never the final price you pay. Always ask for the total all-in cost. Second, avoid unofficial programs. If someone offers you a passport from a country that isn't on an official list and it sounds too good to be true, it is. Run away. And finally, and this is non-negotiable, you must use a government-licensed agent. It's not a suggestion, it's a requirement. It's the only way to avoid getting ripped off or landing in serious legal hot water.
And that really leaves us with one big question to think about. In a world that feels more and more turbulent every day, is a second passport just the ultimate luxury good, or is it something more? Is it becoming a vital insurance policy? It's a powerful tool, no doubt about it. A tool for freedom, for opportunity, and maybe, just maybe, how you answer that question says a lot about the kind of future you're planning for.